daughter Cindy liked to ride bikes and go to the park, just play with her friends. She always made it home. One day, I called Cindy and I said, I'm bringing dinner home. Cindy was 20, but she had a mind of a 12-year-old. So when I got off work at 4 o'clock, I told her, you come home. She said, okay. I said, Mommy loves baby. And she said, baby loves Mommy. That was our saying. So when I got off work, I come home. I thought Cindy was in the kitchen getting some milk, or in her bedroom playing her games. But she was not there. And she was nowhere to be found. That's when it hit. I was scared. Like butterflies in my stomach. I have this instinct that something really bad happened. Because she's my little girl.
Well, I remember when we got the call, I was a detective with the Toledo Police Department in the missing persons unit. We had a 20-year-old female missing. Her name was Cindy Sumner. I remember walking up to the house to meet her parents. I could see that Mary was very afraid for their daughter's safety.
When she didn't come home that night, I didn't eat, I didn't sleep. So I said, I know you gotta wait 24 hours for a missing person, but my daughter has muscular dystrophy and cerebral palsy. She walked good. She ran good too, but if she fell, she couldn't get up because her muscles were brittle.
I knew right away that this was out of the ordinary. Cindy couldn't defend herself if she was attacked. That heightened our sense of urgency. This wasn't just a normal runaway. Every minute that went by, her vulnerability makes it even more remote that she's going to come home.
I was going crazy. Where's my baby? Where's my baby?
Mary had mentioned that Cindy had a bike, and her bicycle was basically her freedom from her home.
Cindy would always come back home and check in. She was very good at that. I said, okay, be careful. No one had a bike like Cindy's. She had a teddy bear and a rose on it. And she just put it on her handlebars, and the bear was holding the rose.
Time is of the essence right off the bat. And so we started driving around that end of town. We went to the parks, we went to the stores that were around there looking for Cindy, and we were looking for her bike. We went up Elm Street, which is a pretty long street in the north end. It had some residential houses, it had some businesses, and it also had some abandoned structures. Parents had given us different friends, addresses, and the places she would go.
I told the police Cindy's best friend was Lisa.
When I met her, I was 12, and she didn't have many friends because of her mindset. You know, nobody wanted to hang out with a 19, 20-year-old that acts like a kid. But I had so much love in my heart for her.
Cindy was 20, but she acted like a 12-year-old because her disability.
She would ride her bike by her house every single day, just waving. And she was the nicest girl ever. When the detectives came to my house, I knew in my heart that something bad had happened to her. She was an easy target because she was so innocent. The day Cindy went missing, she came to my house on her bike and she was asking me to go on a bike ride with her. And then I told her that I couldn't go. And I remember waving to her bye. And that was the last time I seen her.
Mary also said that Cindy had seen somebody driving by the house on a bicycle going back and forth.
Cindy had that gut feeling that someone's watching her.
That raised the hair on the back of my neck a little bit, thinking this person's brazen enough to go by the house without worrying about being caught, and he's brazen enough to try and snatch her.
I came home. Lisa was frantically saying, "Cindy's missing, Cindy's missing. She's gone." I was like, no. Now I find out that somebody was watching Cindy. And knowing that Cindy had been over my house that day, the fear started setting in on me. Like, thank God that I have Lisa.
Stalkers are particularly dangerous because they won't give up. They lurk in the shadows until the right opportunity, and then they pounce.
The police reached out, said, "Hey, we have a missing girl. We want to get this on the news."
Authorities say the shooter was killed almost.
As a mom, I knew that this was an urgent situation.
Cindy was just 20 when she vanished, last seen in a fluorescent green shirt. Her mother is certain this wasn't a runaway.
We got it on the air within hours of her being reported missing.
Cindy, if you're out there watching me, I love you very much. Come home, Mia. I just want her home.
The next day, the panic and the fear started setting in really bad with Lisa. Her mind was racing. Where is she, Mom? Let's go find her.
Her mom was gathering people, searching the streets.
It's nerve-wracking. Trying to find a needle in a haystack.
We were breaking down doors to abandoned buildings, just searching for her. I remember clearly. I was walking home from school with my friends. Then we would walk through a graveyard that went into the back of this warehouse. It was on Elm Street. It was like the shortcut, walking home. We were talking about Cindy, and we thought maybe she's in the warehouse. So then we were like, let's check it out. On the side of the warehouse, we found a stairwell. We were like, I wonder what's down here. So we opened the door, and it smelled like stale water. It was really dark going down, so you couldn't really see anything. And it was really creepy. And then it happened. Walking home from school, we thought it would be a good idea to go in this abandoned warehouse searching for Cindy. But it turned out it wasn't. All the way down the stairwell. The whole basement was just flooded of the building. It's like knee-deep water. And I was like, nope. My mom was on edge at that point because she didn't want any chance of this happening to me. So I didn't tell her. We went through the warehouse.
When Cindy went missing, I was assigned to the Investigative Services Bureau, and the entire department was aware that Cindy Sumner was missing.
As an investigator, you know she's at risk. That tugs at your heart. Everybody wants to find that girl.
Because she has the mental capacity of a 12-year-old, they don't think she just took off, which leaves only a few scary possibilities.
The news spread fast, so we received tons of information that was coming from the community. So we followed up on hundreds of tips.
There were a lot of leads that turned out to not bear fruit. So we went back to people that were close to Cindy. And her mother mentioned to us that Cindy had a boyfriend-like young man, Derek Marks, that she was close to in the neighborhood.
When we started really digging into him, Derek wasn't exactly squeaky clean. So we brought Derek Marks in.
Immediately, I noticed that he was wearing an ankle monitor.
Whoever let him out felt that he still needed to be monitored. So that brings up a red flag.
We were able to get the records relative to his ankle monitor, which established an alibi and eliminated him from consideration.
However, Derek told us that the day she vanished, Cindy rode by his house and he basically ignored her. And as she was riding on, he noticed that she was with an older, maybe man in his 30s with blonde hair. We thought, why would that person be with her? Who was he? And was that the last person that was with her?
Police interviewed dozens and dozens of people in this case, trying to track down this blonde gentleman.
The urgency was, if anybody harmed Cindy, such a pure, innocent young lady, they could do it to anybody. In the neighborhood, there's a lot of families, there are a lot of children, and that could happen in someone's backyard.
Missing posters like this one hang outside, and a week later, her mom just wants to have her home.
And we kept looking and looking. I was like, what's going on with my baby? I'm not my baby home. I kept praying, please, Lord, let me find my baby alive.
And then we got some important information.
We had subpoenaed Cindy's cell phone records. Once we were able to get the records to Cindy's phone, there was one particular text message that was sent to her the day she was reported missing that was particularly concerning to me. It said, "You coming to Jamie Farr?" And that's the part that Cindy would frequent. "God bear for you." Cindy was very fond of teddy bears.
If you're thinking like a 12-year-old, you're going to want to meet him. You're going to want to get your bear.
The person who sent that was close enough to her to know that she loved teddy bears. Unfortunately, these text messages came from a burner phone, and we didn't know who the number was connected back to. We hit a wall.
After all the leads were exhausted, it started becoming frustrating. The investigation was dragging on, and you start questioning yourself if you're ever going to find Cindy or not. And then several weeks into the investigation, a lady named Marissa called the Detective Bureau and said she had recognized Cindy from her picture, but she knew her as Sissy from being around the neighborhood. Marissa stated that she had seen Sissy at the warehouse over on Elm Street one time, and something might have happened. And the warehouse itself was huge. Earlier on in the investigation, a uniformed crew was sent to investigate it. They couldn't find anything.
This old, decrepit, abandoned warehouse on Elm Street was just not a good place. People were going in and out. Homeless people were living in there. People were doing drugs. It was almost like it breathed evil.
This building, because of the sheer size of it, you could very easily hide there and no one would ever know you were there. And there was an element of dangerous people living there that you didn't know what you were walking into.
So when we walked in, we had flashlights, we had each other, and we were going to check every room on every floor. And right away, there was two people there that took off running. We weren't sure what they were up to. It just felt like a trap. I was frightened, and I had a flashlight and a gun. But we were going to go through every floor to rule out if she was there or not.
Approximately 6 weeks after Cindy Sumner went missing, the call came in that she was in an abandoned warehouse on Elm Street. This warehouse was dangerous because of the circle of people living there. Several of them had violent criminal histories, as well as sexually related crimes. Just knowing the nature of the people that had been in and out just gave you pause.
Our concern was that there was somebody there. We didn't know what their intentions were. Were they watching us?
There was the scent of stale beer, urine. There were a lot of crack pipes, bedding. was obviously an encampment for people that were using it as a short-term living space.
When my partner and I went down into the basement, you could tell there was some type of standing water because it just had that something's wrong here smell. So you just get a sick feeling. When we got into the basement, I got the feeling that somebody was watching. It's complete darkness. And you didn't really know what else was down there. Definitely the stuff of nightmares. My partner went to the left, stumbles upon the boiler room.
And then the hair on the back of my neck stood up.
My partner called out. I looked over and he said, I found something in the water. I don't know if it's her, but it might be a body. But it was submerged. And then suddenly we smelled something different. We smelled smoke. It was a fire, and whoever started that fire obviously didn't want us there. But anybody that would set a place on fire while we were in there, we didn't know how far they would go. And so we cordoned off the area and called in the troops. The fire department came and put it out. We called in for more officers because at that point we didn't know what we were dealing with or what we were going to find. Our concern first was, were they still in the building? Because there was many rooms they could have been hiding in.
They also requested to have the Department of Water come out to help drain some of the water so that the basement would be more accessible.
I was working for the city of Toledo in the sewer and drainage services. The warehouse at Elm was a place that I kind of grew up around. I know that it's not a good place to be. It's kind of scary, the things that go on in there. Had I known that we were going to be pumping that place out, I don't know that I would have volunteered to go. The smell was, you never forget it. It permeates everything. You're breathing it, it's in your clothing, it's on you. You get this sick feeling. You feel like something was watching you. The water was so dark, you couldn't take a flashlight and look into it. So like, you don't know what's underneath it. And then as the water started to drain down, I could start to see the body in the water. I thought, oh man, this is horrible. This is something I'm just not going to be able to forget.
Once they had the water pretty much pumped out, the victim was laying on her side, and we were unable to determine who it was. The victim's wrists were bound behind her. There was a marble-type slab that was laid partially across the victim's body.
Whoever had done this to this poor young lady was a vile, evil soul. The body was clothed in clothes inconsistent with what had been reported that Cindy was last seen in, and we did not know who this was.
Our immediate reaction was, oh crap, is this really Cindy? Or was this another victim? And we still have no one in custody.
You had this sense of urgency that potentially other young women or girls are at risk. So if she was a second victim, you're going to immediately think, maybe we got a serial killer. Now, Cindy had reported someone that she found suspicious around her house.
And she also had been seen with the blonde man that we weren't able to identify it. And now we're worried, do we have somebody out there doing this on a serial basis?
We knew that a young lady had been brutally murdered and left in the basement of a warehouse on Elm Street, and we needed to confirm the identity of the body. Due to the serious decomposition of the body, visual identification was impossible, but she was wearing a pendant around her neck.
I gave her the necklace on her birthday, and she never took it off. That's when I broke down. I couldn't breathe. It just gave me chills up and down my spine. I was hoping that she'll come home, celebrate her birthday, Christmas. And I was just so angry, I just wanted to hurt something.
When we got the clothes from the coroner's office, we weren't sure if it actually matched the clothing description that we were given initially. We weren't sure what it meant.
And so the question was someone dressing her up? Was she their human doll?
When I got home from work, Lisa started screaming to me, "Mom, Mom, Mom, they found her, they found her." Just crying and crying. I started crying. The detectives told me that if your daughter Lisa would have went with her that day, she would have not survived. We knew somebody was watching Cindy, and if he's watching Cindy, he's watching Lisa too.
I was actually terrified when I found out that that's where they found her, because I was like, oh my God, we were right there, and we just did not know that she was there. Like, could we have saved her? I was scared all the time because they didn't find the guy who did this yet. I didn't know if there's someone in the bushes. I didn't know what to do at that point. I didn't even want to walk home from school anymore. I was just feeling kind of like Cindy, like someone's watching me. If they can get her, why can't they get me? I started carrying a knife with me everywhere.
It was a very short time later, I got a phone call. Your daughter has a big butcher knife at school. What? A butcher knife? I went into full panic. As a mom, I was thinking, don't carry a knife to school. But this person's still out there. I don't know who they are. They're not getting you, though. I'm gonna make sure of it.
In the warehouse, we found some important evidence. There was a water heater half submerged in the water next to the body, and there was a shoe print on the covering. It was identifiable.
If we were able to match that shoe print to the shoe being worn by a person, then we may have our suspect. And at this point, the scope of who we were interviewing narrowed to the circle of people that were associated with the warehouse.
After talking to more people, they indicated that there was a blonde man living at the warehouse where we found Cindy on Elm Street. It raised our suspicion because we had gotten information that Cindy was with a blonde man on the same day she went missing.
They described him as being a creep job because of his behavior with Cindy. A lot of people didn't care for him. They were actually appalled by him.
People reported that this man would ride his bike methodically back and forth in front of Cindy's house. He would often stop and stare, just standing motionless, just watching. So Cindy was right. Someone was watching her. And it was probably this evil creep who killed Cindy.
Cindy'd been missing for approximately 6 weeks when her remains were found. We tried to interview everybody that was associated with the warehouse where Cindy Sumner's body had been recovered. And when we found out that Cindy was the focus of someone's overzealous attention, certainly that helped narrow our focus as to who the suspect might be. One person described running into the same guy, the creep job, by the name of Elm Robbins. We realized that he was incarcerated, so locating him was a pretty easy step. Elm Robbins was a middle-aged male who was homeless, would travel the north side of Toledo on his bicycle.
He didn't have blonde hair, but we found out that Elm Robbins had recently dyed his hair.
I'm Detective Morrow. This is Detective Gas. How you doing?
The more we started digging into him, we found out that he had had a very checkered past.
How much time did you do for the robbery?
9.5 years.
Wow. Are you on parole now?
No.
Okay, for what?
For domestic violence and some other stuff.
Robbins was a registered sex offender.
Child pornography.
And he had been involved with some other women that had some mental and physical challenges. This was obviously the type of person that he was attracted to.
You got a lot of ex-girlfriends.
I noticed he did have some injuries to his arm, some scratches that he alleged came from a bicycling accident from when he hit a car.
So that definitely threw up red flags.
What kind of relationship would you say you had with
just friends? Riding around.
Riding around?
Riding on the bikes, yeah.
On bikes? Now, were you and Cindy romantically linked? Like, did you like boyfriend, girlfriend, kissing and stuff?
No.
Okay.
They knew I wanted to get with Cindy, but she was talking about her boyfriend and all that.
Robbins was very interested in developing a relationship and becoming close to Cindy Sumner.
So she said you were too old?
She said at first too old.
Yeah. How old did you say you were?
44.
He talked about they weren't in love, but they were hopefully going to get there.
Now here's Detective Kuzno. He's with the Scientific Investigations Unit. What this is a search warrant for your shoes, so we need you to take your shoes off. Are these your shoes?
Yeah.
Just looking at your shoe, it's an exact match.
There's not going to be any denying the shoe print found next to where the body was. You don't seem like a bad guy. Okay, I can pretty comfortably say that. And I think that you want to shed that light for us, but you're gun shy. And I'm telling you, as we stand here today, there is an out. Okay,
I just get cigarettes, please. Just got me all twisted up inside.
He talked about having blackouts, that he just would lose it and then wake up and not know what he'd done.
And I blacked out for like 13 hours, I think it was. And when I thought I woke up, they're telling me, no, you've been up all night.
I was certain that he was the man that killed Cindy Sumner.
At this point, you invoked your right to an attorney, which means by law, the officer can't ask you any more questions.
But Al-Hadi Robbins refused to give us all the specifics.
Ultimately, some of the other inmates gave that information to law enforcement. Even with criminals, there is a code of conduct. They just said, this is a bad guy. He got into an argument with a cellmate about what happened to Cindy, and he wanted to correct the record, the narcissism in him. He wanted that recognition. He thought he was among like-minded people, and it was okay for him to brag. Yeah, I did that, and this is the way it happened. When we talk about Predator, he had a plan.
We believe he lured her to the warehouse with the promise of a teddy bear. Once Cindy went into that warehouse, because of the sheer size of it, you could very easily avoid discovery. When Al-Hadi Robbins tried to have his way with her, I think she threatened to tell people what he had done to her, and he was fearful of being discovered. He ultimately killed her to avoid discovery. I think Cindy fought as best she could. Unfortunately, her ability to fight was obviously very restricted because of her disabilities. He tied her hands behind her back, carried her to the basement, and hid her body in a back boiler room in a bunch of water. Then he threw her bike down an elevator shaft so no one would ever find it. The idea that this could happen to such a pure, innocent young lady was something that was just pure evil.
The man accused of taking Cindy Sumner's life was arraigned in court today. Al-Hadi Robbins pleaded not guilty.
Prior to being able to go to trial, Al-Hadi Robbins was found dead in the shower in the Lucas County Jail and ultimately died of a heart attack.
I wanted him to be in prison the rest of his life. Doing that to my baby girl.
I was angry because Cindy was such a beautiful person. She always seen the good in people, even when they weren't good.
It was kind of bittersweet. I wanted him to pay for his crime, but it also ended the story. He wasn't going to be able to do this to anybody else.
I don't know if karma is the right word, but certainly the circumstances around him dying in water the way he left her that's for a bigger power than mine to figure out.
Fast forward to 2023. This bad, evil warehouse on Elm Street continued to be a nuisance.
I just wanted to tear it down. If it was tore down a long time ago, Cindy'd be right here.
Cindy's family fought really hard to get that building torn down. And finally, 15 years after Cindy took her last breath there, that warehouse was finally torn down.
Every time I pass it, I just don't look over there. I know it's gone, but it still brings me some bad days.
I don't know, there's something about that street that just has always scared people. And to this day, I find it's still creepy.
We didn't even lock our door. That's how safe we thought we were. Whatever sense of safety that this tight-knit Elm Street community had felt, that was over forever.
This is 911. Is there a problem there? Somebody died in my house. What's the address? Elm.
That house on Elm Street was a horror scene. When I walked in, you can smell the blood.
This was Elm Street.
That happened on Elm Street.
It's still like dirty.
That monster was deep inside, and that all came out.
You're thinking, could this happen to me?